The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. It's a game I could never complete when it first came out due to my Wii Motion Plus never quite cooperating the way it was supposed to. It quickly became a favorite when I got the chance to play it on the Nintendo Switch many years later. It's a cleverly made Zelda game, using every space available to its fullest. I couldn't help but smile the entire time I was playing it. One of my favorite parts of Skyward Sword was flying around the sky in the Loftwing. I absolutely loved the feeling of being able to soar through the sky and feeling like nothing could possibly get in my way. Well, besides the enemies, tornadoes, rocks, all the stuff that's around the sky, but otherwise, nothing could possibly get in my way. As I was flying around, enjoying the view, I realized something quite strange. Skyloft has green grass and a small lake with waterfalls. How exactly does this place have these things given its location above the thick cloud deck that lies below it? That's when I started thinking, using my meteorological brain, of course, and I ended up going down a rabbit hole trying to explain this. What I found was not the answer I was expecting. The first thing I did was look up at the sky surrounding Skyloft. In the sky, we see fair weather cumulus clouds, which are the thick, puffy white clouds most of us would draw when we were kids. Usually cumulus clouds don't produce rain, but most days in Skyloft aren't all that rainy, so this isn't unexpected to see here. The issue is that there's cumulus clouds above this thick cloud layer that exists below Skyloft. While clouds can develop in multiple layers in the atmosphere, they're normally not quite this far apart from each other. These seem to be several hundred meters apart, which, while not impossible, seems rather unlikely. Even if they are that far apart, the clouds above Skyloft should be cirrus clouds, which are really thin and wispy. These are decidedly cumulus clouds. So what exactly is going on here? Given this little conundrum, I started trying to identify exactly what the clouds are that exist below Skyloft. Given how thick this cloud layer seems to be, this seems to be its own separate cloud layer. From above, it's hard to tell exactly what kind of cloud layer it is, but we get a brief glimpse of the middle and lower layer of the cloud deck as we descend to the surface. Based on this, I initially guessed that it would be an altostratus cloud, or thick clouds that cause the sky to look mostly gray, though lacking precipitation. The only way to know for sure would be to get a clear look of them at the surface. And so I went down to the surface, as you logically would do, right? And that's when I realized this was going to become a rabbit hole. Upon descending to the surface, I looked up at the sky in Faron Woods and saw a blue sky with cumulus clouds. Wait a minute, something's not right. Given what we were seeing above the clouds before we descended to the surface, we should have seen this giant layer of clouds except for the one area where we landed. While this area does cover a portion of Faron Woods, it should by no means cover the entire woods. The majority of the sky should be thick clouds, yet the sun is shining just as brightly here as it does at Skyloft. I also went and checked Eldon and Lanayru just to see if there was anything different in those areas, and nope, the sky was pretty much the same across the board. You could see blue sky with cumulus clouds. Granted, in Eldon you could see a lot of smoke because you're at a volcano for Pete's sake, but otherwise you couldn't see, well, clouds. You could just see smoke and blue sky. So what's going on here? What happened to this major cloud deck? My meteorology brain started working overtime. How is this possible? When on the surface, there should have been a huge area of cloud cover over all the areas, except for the ones about where we land in each region. Yet the sky is just as clear and blue down there as it is at Skyloft. This suddenly went from being a question of how does it rain at Skyloft to what is this layer that's between Skyloft and the surface below? Is this actually a cloud? It looks like a cloud, and they call it a cloud, but is it possible that this cloud layer between Skyloft and the surface is not a real cloud layer at all? It would have to be visible from the surface as well as the sky. So why is it only visible when we're looking at it from above? Unless, hang on a second. Let me think about this. Okay, I've given it a little bit of thought. I can think of two plausible explanations for this. The first is that the cloud deck that exists between Skyloft and the surface is so high up in the sky that it's impossible to see from the ground below. This is theoretically possible since we don't know how great Hylian eyesight is, or the eyesight of anyone else on the surface. Assuming that developers gave the player the same eyesight as Link, the main protagonist, it's possible that he genuinely cannot see the cloud deck because he's so far below it that it's invisible to the naked eye. But if this is true, this doesn't explain how the sky is blue when viewed from the surface. This causes the theory to fall a little flat. The second explanation involves the goddess Hylia. The story of Skyward Sword goes that Hylia, to protect the Hylians from the power of the demon Demise, sent a portion of the land up with the Hylians on it into the sky. She's a goddess, a deity. She has powers beyond our comprehension. What if she created the cloud layer between the surface and Skyloft as well? It's entirely plausible that she could have created this layer to protect the Hylians from the Wrath of Demise, to ensure that he couldn't easily find them should she fail in her mission. However, this alone still doesn't explain why we see the blue sky from the surface. This is where things get a little bit weird, so please bear with me. I think that once she beat Demise and sealed him away, she turned the cloud layer between the surface and Skylift into a one-way window of sorts, similar to a peephole in a door. Hear me out. The people on the surface can see the blue of the sky, because their side of the cloud layer is transparent. They can see straight through it. So they could theoretically, if they looked hard enough, could see Skylift as this tiny dot in the sky, given that it's so far away from the surface. Either that or Hylia can make the spot where Skylift is just another patch of sky to match whatever surrounds it to keep it safe using her goddess powers. On the Skyloft side, to keep the citizens safe, she didn't let them see the surface at all, but made it look like a patch of thick clouds to make them believe they were truly above the clouds, even though they weren't. If this is true, this would allow for precipitation to fall both at Skyloft and on the surface below. Given that it only truly rains at Faron and at Skyloft given the sheer amount of water at both places and the lack of it at the others. However, to be fair, it did used to rain in the desert before it became, well, the desert. This could be the solution we're looking for, how it's meteorologically possible for Skylift to get rain when it's above a cloud layer. Looking at this, it really doesn't seem like this cloud layer is a cloud layer at all. It's just a portion of Hylia's magic used to protect the people on the surface and the citizens of Skyloft, which, honestly, if true, makes Hylia even cooler than she already was. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe as it lets YouTube know that my content is worth watching. I've really enjoyed making these videos for you so far, and I hope to see you in the next one. Have a good day!